All right. So it's okay if you're not here. This is going to be brief. It's really just a test to see how this new webinar platform works. But I thought I'd check out some stocks while I'm doing it. So I like the share feature. It's really nice. Boom. Yeah, I like that. So this is definitely one I'm checking out tomorrow morning. AKO. KO. I got go. My jokester, okay? So the way I'm looking at this right now is on the daily. I see that it could potentially drop lower into that 272 range. Who knows, right? So then I'm going to switch to a 30-minute chart and see if the VWAP looks friendlier. Not yet. What about the 6 hour? 6 hour. I got to find a balance somewhere. I'm not playing with it. It's definitely oversold, but and I can definitely see, this area of concern where, if it rejects again, it dip more. What's our algo saying? Let's see if we're buy and sell seeing to buy here, or is it saying sell? It says to buy. So sometimes I'll go through these and just like take a look at other ones to see if it's the same. You can definitely see there's a lot of like resistance in that price right here. So again, I'll just throw one right there. Okay. Throw a line there, no problem. And then we'll just keep going down and seeing how strong that resistance is. You can see another resistance at 467. Okay. You could see the breakaway if it went past both of this. So this would be your breakaway deviation, meaning that to me, if it can get past this part here, then it's just going to keep climbing up. No problem. No problem. Okay. So then the next thing is the 3 hour. Now we have our breakaway and we have our resistance. Maybe I'll just change that color for you guys. Put it like nah, that's not good. And that's okay. Right? Green for breakaway, huh? Makes sense. So yeah, so it has a buy signal. I'm a little concerned about this VWAP right now. This has definitely been underwater for a little bit, and people are asking me what do I mean for underwater? Well, there's a couple terms you can use in the stocks for underwater, and some people use it. Another is like a bag holder. Someone who's just holding on to an asset that's going their opposite direction, right? So they're holding on to something that's losing them profit. Well, this particular scenario, I'm looking at this and seeing that it's been in this green range, saying that, okay, it's time to buy. But it's having some struggles getting out of this green range. Let me check another time frame. So we got our green, right? A green will tell us to see. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Okay, I don't like that at all. All right, let's find something else. If I'm seeing like way too much, way too, is it COBI? BOI? CCBO? I guess I forgot COBs. Oh, maybe I got the wrong one. Anyways, so if I see something like this happening, this could be scary, because as many times as there's been rejection on this VWAP, and you have that visualness from the indicator itself, But then you also have like the buy and sells that are just saying sell. So we're going to stay away from this. Okay. It was a bad idea. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's look at the index though, because the index is going to give us an idea of what we can trade tomorrow. So the biggest thing is like the QQQ. That's going to let us know if we can trade some techs tomorrow. Techs are always going to be the fast movers. You're going to have a lot more success with the techs than you will with the other ones. So I would say for this scenario, we need to get across that 180 threshold. That 180 threshold has definitely been around from last week of not crossing it yet. So could give us some issues. Again, we see another resistance pretty tight, about 40 cents away, where it rejected last time off the VWAP. So this could be a trap right here. This could actually go lower too. If you can see that, if you look at the previous price on that line, it's about 177. And now it's 165. So the drop down could be worse, right? That's one thing we're looking for. The next situation is we want to look at the lower time frames. So even the 45 minute is showing that resistance, even throwing up a sell on a green. So this could reverse on us. So yeah, with the resistance lines, I still like to put those resistant lines on there, even if it's not totally going that past that, right? It could stop here at this resistance at 179. So let's hit the 30 minute. The 30 minute looks clear, right? But I do see, we would definitely be going our previous high. So something to look out for tomorrow is that we could pass our previous high or just maybe climb up to 181 if we can get past that 179 range. So, pre-market, or I'm sorry, aftermarket is doing its thing. If you don't have extended set on your bands for being in equities, it's going to be a lot challenging for finding out these narratives with these bands. Sometimes these bands will give you clues after market, right? Because the stock's constantly moving, right? It just moves for a couple hours and it stops, and then in the pre-market it opens and moves a little bit more, right? Bots or someone who trying to get in before the rush, or they just aftermarket traders. We'll go over that in another webinar about aftermarket trading, which is totally feasible, by the way. It's definitely not a trending way of trading, but it is possible. So, we see, of course, there's strong support at that 179. So, that would be another line I'd probably put right there somewhere, 179. So if we retrace back, then we'll go up to a higher time frame. Check the 10 minute. So it's almost looking at the reverse way of QQQ. If we look at this in reversed, you see it's testing that VWAP right now. You see if the institution's going to accept it or the bots are going to accept this trade. If they don't, then if it goes past this, then it could go even lower, right? So when we get into these low ranges, okay, I like to and what I call is out of those support ranges. So this is out of that support range. This has been the main support, this wall right here, right, this channel. But we're gonna break out of that pretty soon. If it breaks down again, it's gonna break out of this channel. This is the channel I'm talking about. Okay. So again, we just drew these lines based off the algorithm, based off the bands. Okay. So the next test for it could be right here, and then a retracement and goes down, right? And so the next thing you want to look at is the daily. Okay. So we can now we see what's going on. Hard to tell at first until you look at that daily. And I've always suggest to look at the daily. It's always going to give you a lot of valuable information. You can see twice we've rejected this VWAP. Okay. So we're seeing some stuff that you usually would not see if you didn't have that VWAP there. So we're seeing where it's rejecting, we're seeing where it's trying to come back up. So there's somewhere where there's a strong support. So we can put a line right on that wick. Okay. Let's go to like a 2-day. Okay, so you see it's at its last resort right here at that 176 range. So if this thing closes, below here, then it could bounce at 173 or go lower. I've already talked about 170 as a place it could go. 160. That would probably be the crash, right? I don't think we're at that level just the way that the bands are pulling up. So something to definitely look out for is when you run into these scenarios right here where it's below this deviation line. But we've seen this before. History does repeat itself. I was thinking we were going to get a better idea of what was going on with this chart today, but that was not the case. So, one second. So we can check the intraday on the 77-minute, and we can also see that channel. So this builds pretty good channels. You'll learn how to trade off them. So we got a buy here, and again, it could just double top and then fall back down. So the biggest thing that you want to pay attention to when you're looking at these different time frames is where there is strong support, and strong supports can be either on the deviations themselves or the VWAP. Anytime you see a VWAP and the deviation right by each other, that's a strong support. This is what happened right here. This got close, then it was able to climb. But we were already in the overbought section, so that's why it rejected off here. So if you're coming in, just mute your mic. You can raise your hand though, and I'll try to answer your questions. So for what I'm looking at right now is how I'm going to trade tomorrow, and it's based on what I'm seeing right now for the markets. So the biggest way you do that is you have to look through the indexes. Okay, so anytime the indexes look bad, you could have a red day, is what we call it. So for instance, and they all pair differently. If you get into like the SPX, it's more for housing, more for financial institutions and whatnot. The QQQ is more for like technology, some consumer stuff. So I'm going to probably put my scan on my Ameritrade account. I'm probably going to put my scan on Ameritrade account looking for most likely materials, consumer services. That's not consumer products, right? Consumer products would be, retail type stuff. Services is like utilities, you know, stuff to build a house or build a company or so. Yeah, so I'll check through the fundamental aspect of all that. Um, what do you think about the new webinar though? I like it. I like it. There's a little you can chat here. It's really nice. And I also have this on record, so it's recording. And it seems to be pretty smooth. So hopefully I have finally found one that works. The WebEx one was like giving me grief today. I was trying to load it up. So I was like, nah, no, no, no. Let me try Zoom. So if there's if Becky, if you want to take a look at crypto, let me know. If there's like a ticker you want to look at, and we can do a little TA on something. You know how to? Can you chat on here? Can you hear me? You hear me, right? Nothing for me. Just learn to understand the indicator for now. Okay, so yeah, just roll with what I'm going with, and you know, you'll get the hang of it, right? Because like the only way that you'll get better using this is just repetitive, just doing it over and over and over. And it actually makes more sense when you're trading because then you can kind of see the mistakes that you made, uh, either emotionally or you didn't really use the logic of the indicator itself. So something to look at. Yeah, that's good. There's really no reason to trade anyways, at the moment. Like for crypto, I mean, you got Bitcoin, has been in the been in the 6,600 range for a while. So I see that it's again, trying to test that 6,700 range. And I definitely do notice on the daily that it has crossed the VWAP. I don't see any other. I don't see any big volume yet coming in. I don't know why my volume's off. It was on, and it looks like crap. So let me go to. So Becky, did you register or did you just join? How'd you do it? Oops. I don't know if I like this. Where's the chat at? I'm trying to find where the chat is. Ah, let me put it over here so I don't lose it. I already have Zoom. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so just register and you'll notice that I'm going to be doing these webinars almost every day. Um, Even if I'm doing by myself, I feel like it's a disservice to you guys if I'm not doing them like I said I would. just been. I'm not gonna make excuses. The one strategy I use, right, if I'm doing a trade, is the I look at the daily and then I look at the 5 minute. Okay, it's actually pretty interesting how I do it. So if I want to go, I can't do crypto right now. Let me find something. Forward. All right, so we got forward. Let me turn off the buy and sell. All right, keep it simple. Okay, so I'm going to add 12. So I'm just put 2 right here. So times multiplier times 12. Okay, so on the daily, you'll notice that that's not going to change. That's fine. You don't want it to change. Okay. You see, I already had a previous mark on forward, and it's testing the next deviation line. Okay. All these right here, these lines are just support, you know. I think, oh, yeah, totally. The way they work is off a dispersion composition algorithm. So they are looking for price cycling. And basically, in layman's terms, they're watching for manipulation in the market. So if there's, and the manipulation is always worse when it's like crypto, right? Because it's unregulated. Stocks is, you don't see it as much unless you're playing with the new IPOs or penny stocks, right? Anything that's under $5 could be manipulated. They still get fined, but they don't care. Um, so yeah, so if I can find like a good example, I don't know if Ford is a good example just because it's really not that fine. I need to find something that's like $1. Yeah. See, yeah, those are pretty manipulative. You'll notice too sometimes that this will happen where you can't see the bands anymore. Just because there's no more data. Right. It's only been around for a year. So yeah, the longer it is, the more detail it's going to show. I mean, like the QQQ, that thing can show all the way on the weekly, which is pretty cool. But like, let's go to the 5 minute. Um, okay, so what you're seeing now is I changed this to 390 and 12, right? Okay, so what I'm looking at is the daily. I know it's hard to understand, but what the best place to trade is when it hits this area. Okay, so this is tough because there's not a lot of volume. But looking at other examples, this thing might eventually just start moving this way, right? And maybe I can buy it at 86 cents because then it's going to be a good time to buy. Anytime it hits these greens on a really, really high multiple, then you should look into buying. Okay. One strategy I use as well is I'll change 70 to 390. So it keeps the logic with looking back at the short variance on the 5 minute. So and we can kind of see it's rejecting on this VWAP right here. Okay. So for the buy and sell trick, dang it, that always happens. So the buy and sell trick, I want to see if I can catch this one because I can look back and see if my algo is working correctly or not. You'll see, there's a lot of signals going on for these short plays. But for this particular one, let's see if it caught it. So what's interesting is it looks like because I wonder if that was a glitch. I don't think this is real. I don't think it went up this high. Let me try another example. That's the problem with these low ones is they glitch. Because if I look on my Ameritrade account, it wouldn't be showing that. Let me see. Oh, I don't like that either. Not everything is going to be perfect. I'm just looking for a good example. Anytime you see like, you know what? We probably could do Bitcoin with it. Bitcoin's a pretty good example. I'm looking for a particular one that really shows how it plays. Okay. So for instance, so some of these wicks here, right? You can see where this was that manipulation. How do you know? Well, because they sold it so fast, right? They either had a robot selling it or it was just like, it was some kind of pump and dump scenario where they were just pushing the price up real quick and dumping it, buying it all up and selling it before like anybody could actually make profit. By the time that person was trying to buy profit, it was already selling. Okay. Well, it put a sell signal here. It didn't even pick it up. You notice that? So it looked for manipulation. Now where it messed up though, I wonder if my settings are off because no, it got this one right. Sold. But you notice it didn't sell here at this top one. It was looking for a safer selling. You could use it on a 30-minute, right? Let me try. I'm just trying to get one that has like good volume. There we go. Perfect. Okay, this is a good example. Okay, so here we go. We have a buy signal. Boom. Right. It goes all the way up. So you're making all this profit. Boom, 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 boom. So you just keep moving your stop loss as that's moving up. But the sell was actually right here. So it ignored these two and sold here instead. Because if you look at the percentages, that's how it was doing the math. It was looking at the safest area to sell. So this buy was, probably not the smartest thing for it to do. Yeah. So if it disappears, you need to wait, or you need to just confirm where exactly you know it's doing it right. So another signal here, boom, all the way up top. Notice it did not sell. So did we lose profit? What we avoided was risk, and that's what's more important than anything is having these kind of trades, and then it becomes risky. So you made profit. If you would have bought on the signal, it climbed up pretty good. I think would have gave you at least what 50, what 3%, something like that. And then it sold, and then fluctuations and whatnot. But I think that's what it does is it ignores these pumps. It waits, but you still make profit from it, right? It tries to get you in before the manipulation. Okay. So what you could do, for instance, this one right here. Okay. So you see it on the 30-minute. So what you could do is just right click, add alert, change this to essential, whatever the indicator name you're using. I'm testing some stuff right now. I think that's why my buy and sells are so sporadic. But you put a sell alert, okay, because it's already on buy alert. It's already buying. So we put it on sell, okay, only once. If you have the full premium, you can send a text message to your phone, right? And then we hit create. So now that should have created. Thought I created it. Sell alert once. Everything's boom, boom, boom. Create. There we go. See, it did it. It's just must have lagged or something, right? So basically, what we're looking for is this is going to hit. Well, this is what we see, right? This is what we see. Gosh, man, this thing is buggy right now. We see that there is, let me get this out of the way, this deviation right here. Okay. So, man, it's buggy. So it could reject here again. Okay. Now, if it does, that's not a big deal. Okay. Because it's still going higher than the previous one. Okay. This sold around 66.79. If this hits this deviation, it's going to sell at 66.81. That would mean that it's still a bullish asset, right? Because it's going higher than the previous. Now, if it double tops, okay, then that might be the end of this run and it's going to start retracing. But if we want, because right here, this area, okay, is risky. This is risky because it's already in the red. Now, what if it keeps climbing? What you could do is if it crosses this point, you could look to see if you can buy in. You know, if that's a play that you want to try to play and see if it's going to go up higher. You know, still risky though. I would avoid it. I would wait though. My play would be when I get a sell signal on this, and then I would just check the other deviations to see if that sells makes sense or not. So, oops, I noticed that my bands are wrong. Let me fix that. 70. So, okay. So we see it has some room. It still has room to climb. Okay, on this time frame. So 67.40, right? So I'm going to put a line there as well. And you can see that was a previous area where it dropped and then almost reached here, but it failed. Okay. Another thing that you look at on the bands is the repetitiveness on where it rejects. Okay. And this is what makes Bitcoin so hard to decipher, is because it's so manipulative, you know, like doing this thing right here and then dropping below the deviation. Okay, so it gets a little harder to TA, and that's why it's such a risky asset when in a bear market. Now, when this thing's in a bull market, then it's following a nice trend. Right now, we're not following a trend. We're just going crazy. So the best solution here for me would be to wait and try to short it. Okay, and it could possibly be at this price. So what are you saying? So I don't know charting. I can just use the signals to trade, not hundreds. Because yeah, I mean, what I want people to learn is how to visually trade, right? How they use the bands the correct way, and then use the buy and sell as a confirmation. Okay. I was just talking to someone today, and he was interested in getting this, and he asked if I'm going to automate this, and you know, and I was like, look, maybe down the road, but I still make killer profit off this thing just off the bands. I don't even use the buy and sell that much. I use the buy and sell as a reminder, right? I just set alerts to remind me that, okay, this thing said sell. Let's go see where it's at now and see if it's a good time to short. And, you know, as you can see, I have quite a bit of assets I do that with. Okay. So the next thing is we're just going to keep scaling up on these different time frames to see if this 67.40 is a strong resistance area. Boom, look at that. It landed right on that top deviation. Right on it. Look how accurate, you know. So you can definitely see that could be the place where the price is climbing. But we always know with the bands, we have a test right here first at 67 or 66.74. Why? Because this is an area of resistance. And then the next test is going to be here, then here, then finally, if it can break through all those, here. If it breaks through all that, then heck, we might be really bullish. So we just make rules, okay? We don't assume anything. We can't 100% predict where the price is going, but we can see where the price could go. And that's the difference. All right, so understood. Just wondering why no one uses it when it's pretty accurate. Like I said, monitored it on a before. Oh, the signals. I think people aren't really trading that much. People aren't trading that much with crypto and everything going on. You should though. I mean, you can't make profit even through this if you're a day trader. You could have made profit through here today. Would have been slow. Bitcoin used to move a lot faster. We're all aware of that. And also I do my time intervals like this. See, so I can get through these bands quicker. So we got buy confirmations. Oh, here we go. So here's a VWAP that it's crossing right now. So this is a strong resistance area. So if it breaks through this, I can definitely see it going up higher. Okay, but you can see our lines are pretty close to the spots on the deviation. Another spot here. So we're just getting constant confirmations. We'll go to 8. Then we see that, another strong resistance point. But you see how I'm doing that? You just keep looking through the different time frames. Okay. And then you try to figure out if it makes sense, if it's going to go higher. Now it could go up to here, like where it's at right now. See, that's another thing. This is a strong resistance area, 67.40. Why? Boom, rejection, 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 rejection. That doesn't count. So that's three different rejection spots on 67.40. So if we pass this, that's when put your buy in, right? Because then we're going to start climbing. This would be your next resistance right here. But we could go all the way up to, 7K again. That's our resistance. That's our problem. If we wanted to look at this as on a trend spectrum, right? We use our trend tool. This is not the best trend tool. You want to do it so it's hitting the candle bodies and not the wicks. Okay? And then you just go to, so you ignore the Daniel Relusos, these guys here. You ignore all those. You just try to get it as close as you can, right? It's all you're doing is you're just making a rule. This isn't saying like, oh, this is where it's going to go. Okay? That's not where I'm getting at. This just says if it drops right here, then right? 6K again. It could go a lot lower. So that's when I use a trend line. And I'll explain that more in the courses and stuff. I've just been pretty busy. And we do the same thing, when we were looking at stocks too. You can easily see these trends, right? Boom. This could be making another trend line. Dissect it with the deviations. See if it makes sense. That one makes sense. Kind of see where the pattern's going to go. And then you can see how long this is going to take for this to happen. Okay. So you can use drawing tools, you know, on your chart, even with the indicator on there. That's fine. Let's trying to get close here. Oops, I'm way off. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. So we can just pretend here, okay, and say, yeah, so it's passing through here, and then what if it, you know, rejects again? Now we're on a strong support, and it just keeps climbing up, right? And then we're finally out of this bull market. Okay, so this is, we're getting to a point on this particular asset, or it's time to go up, or it's going to crash. But we can look at the time rate, the time frame, if this was going to happen. For you guys showing up, go ahead and just mute your mics, okay? And just talking about Bitcoin, but I'm also really happy with this new webinar. I don't really like the other one, and I was having issues trying to set it up tonight. So make sure you guys registered on the actual give your email and all that, register. Then you'll see them doing these webinars. Like, I don't know, there's like 3 or something this week and 4 next week. It's gonna be nuts. So you can raise your hand if you want to. Do I have the raise your hand option? Maybe not. Okay, I'll have to look into that. It's on record. It's recording right here. So we'll see how that goes, right? Raise your hand. There we go. Nice. So if you do have like a question, you don't feel like typing it out, just raise your hand, and you can, go ahead and talk on the mic. Did you have a question? You want me to lower your hand? Good to see Lord Kai. I'm probably saying your name wrong, but it's like 35 degrees today. Huh. Here, I'll do it for you. 35 degrees. It's so cold. So I know Becky, well, Becky's not really trading right now. It's a good thing. And Lord Kai, you're a crypto guy. Is there any tickers that you want me to look at? And then of course, Banjo, if you got any stocks that you're curious of wanting to get into, just let me know. And you can just unmute your mic or whatever if you want to talk instead of type. It's fine. Just mute it back when you're done. With the old BTC, yeah. So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, I just tested it.
Yeah, gotcha. So, yeah, Kai. So that's what Becky and I were just talking about. And I told her that you can use you can do trend lines, right, on the deviations, or I'm sorry, on the chart, and see if it makes sense with the deviations. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to get an idea if this is a trending pattern, for going up, or if we're going to break that pattern. So what we did, or what I did, is I went through and I put lines on specific deviations that or VWAPs on different time frames that all correlated with each other, right? So say for instance, there was this price 67.40, and I found resistance at the 1 hour, the 5 minute, 6 hour, etc. Okay. If I keep seeing that pattern, I can tell that that's a really strong resistance. Okay. Because if you look on this time frame, you wouldn't know on the deviation standpoint, right? You wouldn't know that this was an actual strong resistance. So we went through and put those lines there so we could see what could happen. So we see the end all be all, right, at 66.11. If it drops past this, which means it's fallen out of this trend channel, it could go a lot lower. The next scenario was this 67.40. Now we were looking on a lot of different deviations and seeing the 67.40 as an area of concern. Right? There's a deviation right there. It's hard to see, but it's the bigger deviation. Those are always the ones to watch for, because these bigger bands are the bigger plays. Okay. So I just filter through and see where these strong resistance are. Another one. See, so it's pretty consistent. So then we went to the daily and we noticed like, whoa, right? Like this thing rejected here, 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 here. So it's definitely a strong resistance. So then the next resistance that we found would be at this price range, the 68, whatever, 65, whatever it is. So maybe possibly it could, if it climbs past the 67.40, then possibly, it could do something like this, climb up and then reject and then bounce again. And then finally we're in the 7K range. Okay. That would make us bullish, in my opinion. And you could argue and say that we're bullish right now because we're over the VWAP, but we're technically not. Okay. We're hanging on the line itself. Like we haven't got another candle. Okay. We haven't built another candle right here that's going up. We're still just testing or consolidating on this VWAP, which I think that's why this process is taking longer than we're expecting it to, because it's a big spot. Does that make sense to you? So if you're looking into a scalping scenario, right, and we were just talking about the signals, and what I told Becky you could do is you could wait, okay, and see if this thing's going to sell, okay. And the best trick you can do that is you just right click, go to add alert, change this to your name of your indicator, put sell, choose once, make sure that's, you can change it to whatever noise you want it to be, okay. And then you can write a message down like, I better get in this son of a, right? No, I'm just kidding. Hit create. Okay, give it a second. Check your alerts and see if there's a creation. There it is. Or maybe. It was going slow last time when we added it. There it is. So there's the sell alert. So we can delete this one if we want. Okay. So as soon as this thing puts a sell alert, that doesn't mean you go ahead and put your order in. No. It just means that you should probably be looking to put your order in. And if you look at the relevance of the sells previously, they're pretty accurate. Especially this one. If that hits the sell right there, boom, pretty accurate. Now, one thing I want you guys to see, and it's hard to see actually. It was locking up like this last time too. Okay. So I want you guys to notice something here. So here we are on this VWAP. You can see this is a very strong VWAP because look how many times they accepted the price. They, the bots or the institution, whoever's playing this particular time frame, they're playing off this VWAP. Okay, so they allowed it right here, and there was the climb, there was the sell off, there it bounced again, there was the final rejection from this VWAP. Okay, so then it had another, support or VWAP, who knows, that caught this bounce. Again, it rejected here. So again, we're looking at this VWAP, which is, it's hard to see. Why do I see like, what is that? Oh, I see what it did. So the VWAP went like this. Okay. So it's testing the VWAP right now. So it could reject here and then fall. And anytime that you see these bands start narrowing or pulling down like this, that just shows you how much farther it could fall. So hopefully that gives some clarity on that scenario. So yeah, you can go on the 5-minute chart and you can look at the buy and sell. And you can see that we're just consolidating. It's not doing much. The 5-minute is really, really good. It is your bread and butter, in my opinion, because it's showing two significant VWAPs. Okay. But anytime that you get confused, just look in the past, right? Just look in the past and see how many times it bounced off this particular support or VWAP. I shouldn't say support. Or deviation. Okay. Anytime you see something like this, that's a big sign. So if the VWAP's hanging in with this area that it's oversold, it's good to buy then. It's something you want to look for. And you would have made a lot of money. A lot of money off that trade. And the same goes with stocks. Anytime you see a VWAP hanging in these low regions, the oversold regions, it's good to buy. Canadian and I were having a conversation last night, and we were talking about the retailers, probably like, yo, I should I buy here? Is this a good time to buy? And our argument is the best time to buy was right here when it touched the green. That was your signal. That was your time to buy. Right? Let me see if that, yeah. There's your profit. You could even, no, it already rejected there. No. So yeah, that would have been your profit right there on that green. So it's very important, especially on the dailies, to look at those. Now, if we zoom out though, okay, and which makes Bitcoin so weird, and what I think is going to happen is I'm noticing that these bands are turning up, right? So what is possibility is that we might just run right into this deviation eventually. It might just break here, right? And we might just run into it. And then it really depends on, after it breaks that 6K, is someone going to buy it back at this 4K range? If we don't climb here. And you guys seen this kind of pattern before, where the deviation or the bands follow whatever pathway, whatever trend that the big bands are going, or do the opposite sometimes. I mean, any questions on that? You like the 5-minute time frame? Yeah, so I was showing Becky too, and I think I've already showed Banjo. What I do for mine, what I do is I go and change my multiple. Sorry. See, I need coffee. And I change this to 12. Okay. And then I'll change this to 390. So 12 is looking at the daily, right? I know it's hard to like comprehend, but that's what it's looking at. So, or maybe not the daily. What am I thinking? So if we break this particular price range, which does have a strong support, then we could be in that downtrend. I don't know why it's not giving me a better. Let me try another stock that's in the green, not that one, that I have alerts on. That's gnarly looking. Might be that one. Pretty close, right? Getting to that level that you want to buy at. So let me just put a price there, and then oh, it's on the daily. Wait a minute. So let me just put a line there, and then look on the 5 minute. Yeah. So we see this is definitely it's going underwater, right? The bands are showing that it's pointing down. These bands aren't doing much, but this one is kind of turning down, and these are turning down. So that's your trend indication. So this might, over the duration, might do something like this, and then try to test that VWAP, and then maybe finally start bouncing and climbing back up. But if you keep your multiplier at 12, just like this, you can see the full play on that one candle. And I've explained this before on the YouTube. So if you haven't watched the YouTube on it, I like over explain it. Okay. So yeah, really important. If you can find those type of trades that are down in this range, that's what you want. You want to buy low. So when I'm doing my scans for stocks, that's what I'm looking for. Now you could do the same for alts, but the issue is a lot of the alts are pairing with Bitcoin, right? Let me see though. And a lot of them are new, so sometimes they don't even show up. See, this is already in the overbought section. I want to touch that. Nope. See, they're already like not on sale anymore. Definitely not on sale. Nope. Like I won't even touch it. Well, you see where it's rejecting on Ripple. So you might want to look for another buyback right here. Just to play off this band, these bands right here. Vibe rejecting off the VWAP. So yeah, I don't really see any, but you do no. Trying to find a good example. Oops. You do see though that this particular price was pretty close to this deviation, and that would have been the best time to buy. Okay. So you can use that technique to try to find those areas where you want to buy low. But we're just so slow right now in the alt world that it's not doing a lot. Let's see how our medium floats are doing. Cena. Oof. I don't like it. But I can look through these really fast because I'm sort of looking at a longer play when I have my multiplier set so high. Okay. So I can get through these TAs a lot faster. Here's a good one. Look at this. Pay attention, Mr. Banjo. So obviously,
I always pay attention, man.
yeah. So this one was tricky because it sort of, was low down here to buy, which is still this would have been the best time to buy. But I still think it's a good time to buy because it's so low. So if we put a marker, I guarantee you this is sitting out of the green range now on the daily. Yep. So there was the marker where it double bounced. And it might do it again. Oof. Come on, General Mills. But on a shorter play, you might be able to get away with it and make some profit. Or it could reject right here and then retest again. That's a lot of testing in that spot. But yeah, anytime you see, an asset that's low in this area, that's when you want to start doing some more TA on it. And that's when I use the signaler and see if I have a buy on it on the daily. And if all those approve, that's when I send it out to the floor or in the stock trading room for the watch list. So we got to sell. So I'm not ready yet for that one. But that's a good strategy you can use. Ooh. So a nice confirmation on a buy signal would be something you would want. Then you could go back and you can look on your 5-minute. We're definitely underwater. So, this might keep climbing, keep going up. Just because it's already it's in the green. I don't know how many times I can argue that. Like when it's in the green, it's a good time to buy. When it's in the middle, it's a decision time. It's, on your own. If you bought in the green, then selling in the middle is a good idea. Okay? Because you're still making profit. Just look through a couple more and then we're going to wrap her up. So there's another one here. And another thing you notice, okay, so, I make silly names up sometimes, but I call this time's up, right? Time's up. Why? Because it's building a wedge right here. Let me remove these stupid signals. You see the wedge? So you see the deviation through here? And now you see this deviation through here. So what I do is I sort of draw kind of the trend or where it's going and see when those two are going to cross. You're sort of guessing, but you're getting an idea at least. So if it passes through here, it's going to have to do something pretty soon. And it could do it tonight while we're sleeping. So it either could reject right here and go down, or it could burst up. that would be something that, you'd want to look at home. Could be a good time to buy. Of course, always confirm it with the daily. Of course, it's not showing like much information because it's brand new. Let's try another. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad at all. When you see this too, it's another big sign. If you see this, that's divergence. That means it's creating a wedge for a buy. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. Did you guys have any questions for me? You can use your mic.
Hey, look at ASUR. It kind of lines up if you take the indicator away, but when you bring the indicator in, I'm really questioning. So I'm not sure.
That's the one that we had alert set on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Remember?
I'm not sure.
Oh. Let's see here. Okay. So we definitely see where there's resistance.
It had a good bounce today. I think it went up about almost 5%. And
so sometimes I don't know, bro. There must be, I wonder if it's the short bands. The short bands are probably carrying it right now. Meaning this is a shorter play.
I mean, it could go way on down. I mean,
yeah, that looks pretty good. If it can hold right here, this would be a good bounce for it. And this would be a good area where you can put some rules on it.
I know because you can draw a line from the previous supports and they line up perfect with where it's at right now. If you go back like on what was I looking at today? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'll put a line right there actually. And put a line like right there-ish, which matches up pretty well with the VWAP. And then we can go back and take a look at the other ones. I like seeing this, though. I like seeing something like this. These wedges, there's a lot of sell pressure, and then finally it breaks. So
I don't know. It was one I was looking at today. I was going to get in earlier, and I didn't get in.
It looks like it's making a support. It looks like it's making a support. Let me switch the bands back to normal. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, there's your divergence. That's kind of. Still undecisive, but you definitely see this one. This one looks like it wants to go that way. Let's see though. Shoot, I might get in this straight.
Yeah, I was going to wait and kind of see what it does in the morning, but that's one I had in mind and maybe jumping in the morning. I don't know though. So
it already broke past this resistance line right here, right? So the next point would be up to here.
Right, I think it's got a little room to breathe. I mean, I think it can definitely go up, even if it does reject it. I think there's some money to be made.
Let me just see if I can find the resistance on it so you know where to sell. Okay, so I'm definitely going to pay attention to that one. And it's funny how these lines just line up with previous resistance spots, like the deviations. It's amazing. Okay.
Go back out on, zoom out a little bit. You're on the daily, right?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. What I'm looking for is where there's a little bit of resistance going on. Aha. Let's see if I can find some more resistance. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So it's
VWAP right there. It's already past it, isn't it?
So it's broke through this VWAP right here. On the 45-minute, it's going to test this VWAP.
Oh, okay.
So it's at here. So what I'm looking at, dude, is where we can build a nice area for a stop loss. And I think this is where we're going to put it. And like I said, you have to like add all these time frames because you might miss something. Okay.
Are you on the standard? Have you got everything set on standard on your chart right now, or do you have
Yeah.
it set at? Okay.
Yeah. So if we let's put a stop loss right here. Okay. So that would be your stop loss. If you bought in here, how much are you losing? That, I mean, it really depends on how much you want to lose, right? I mean, you can move it higher, but my thing is maybe it like,
I don't really want to lose over 1%.
okay. Because if it breaks this, then you can see how much lower it could go, right? We're exactly where we have that support line at. Damn, it's pretty close to it, isn't it? So let's just keep checking. I like the 10 minutes sometimes. It gives us some good data. Okay, so it's following this little this channel here on the deviation itself. And I've told you guys about that. It follows these little channels on the deviation. And since it's trending up, as long as it keeps going up, it'll break through this and it should go a lot higher. Now, we could even set our stop loss up a little bit more. Okay? So when you find an asset that's in one of these channels, it's easy to set up a nice tight stop loss that's going to keep you safe. Okay? So your buy-in would be right here. All right? So if you put a stop loss like right there, you're not losing too much. That's what I would do. Is that every other deviation dot that I've taught you guys? Let me see. So I go every other deviation dot. Okay, so we have one right there. Now we could set it there. And then you could just watch it, right? Because you're going to be watching these trades. And then if it breaks this, then you know it's going to go lower. If it falls out of this deviation, you know it could go lower. So that would be an area where you want to look at where you want to put your stop loss at. You could either put it right there if you can afford it, or maybe, you know, take a risk and put it right there. What could happen though is it drops down, thinks it's going to touch this area, and then goes back up again. But I don't know. I don't think that's the case. Let me see the 5 minute. No, hey, dude. The 5 minute, that VWAP's over. That looks good.
I was watching it earlier today.
I'm buying in that one.
on the 1 minute, if you go to it, I was actually watching it today when it was down under $11, and it broke through some support there. And it had a previous high. If you go back a little bit, see that previous high where it kind of hit that VWAP on back, no, forward, not that far back. Yeah, right in there.
Right there, yeah.
And I was watching. I said, well, if it'll break through this VWAP again, it'll probably go up, and it did. And that's where I was going to buy in. And for some reason, I got sidetracked with work and got forget about it. And it jumped all the way up. So I could have made a good 3 or 4% probably.
So again, so we have these lines right here that are looking at a different time frame. Remember? This was up a higher time frame. So now we're getting an idea. If it breaks this and goes past this, that's how much lower it could go, right? That's where it could break even lower. Let's look at the 5 minute. Same thing. So if it breaks that support, then you could see it, you know, maybe trying to boost up here. So see where it's at tomorrow, you know, and I'll make sure that that I post this chart in the stock trading so you can keep an eye on it.
It kind of had a little bit of trouble there getting through the VWAP.
Yeah, right here.
I'm hoping that will be enough to be the support, you know.
Well, you know, what looks really positive right now, which it could change, okay? But right now, is this VWAP, or not VWAP, these bands are just pointing up. That looks good. It doesn't, that's what you want to see. Okay. So it's been under this VWAP for a long time.
Yeah, if I could
So
get,
right here.
if I could get 2 or 3, 4% out of it, I'd probably be happy.
Well, hell, I think if it can stay up in this range, right? What could happen, tonight, and you're gonna have to. I think this is gonna be a fast acting one too. You're not gonna have a lot of time on this trade, because once these two VWAPs cross, that's when decision making happens, just like this time. Okay, so in this particular instance, when they crossed, it fell. So maybe in this instance, when it crossed, it's going to fly. So this, I've been watching this since last week, so I'm definitely looking to buy in as well.
Okay, I just wanted you to look at it real quick and see what you thought about it. And,
I like it.
It's kind of one of those where you don't really know, but
yeah, I like it. Looks good. Well, any more questions? Do you guys like this setup better with this webinar?
I think it's pretty good.
All right, cool. Right on. Yeah, so the first thing you should always do, okay, is when you're looking at a ticker of whatever, look at the daily. Okay, if the daily looks like, if it's way up here somewhere, just don't even ignore it, unless it's on the green bands. Okay, what I'm talking about is right here. Don't even mess with this area. Okay, the only time I see a VWAP bounce is on like a 2-day or a weekly, right? But still, it usually has confirmation on those bands. So look for those. You're trying to make money and not lose money, and you're trying to get in at this cheapest area so you can snipe that trade and get out quick, right? That's the goal. That's our goal. And you can see right here, if just following our rule, if we can break past this, man, this could go here, could go here. Yeah, it'd look real tasty.
Yeah, I think it might just be a little bounce. I mean, I'm sure it's going to turn and go on down, but if we can profit off the bounce, I think we'll both be happy.
Got a lot of divergence going on. A lot of divergence. So, I mean, let me see. 9 and 21. There's 21 right there. There's 9. So we might be looking at the 12-hour on the 2-day, the small bands.
Also, right there, hold up. I don't know how much you are on drawing lines and stuff, but if you draw lines right now from under that support, like those last 2 or 3 bounces on the green back through there, it lines up perfect with where it's at right now. So that's why I thought it might bounce.
Yeah, exactly, because this is a strong support for it, right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're building a logic behind this trade. Okay. Right. It's not just, if we get rid of this is okay. We see that this is a pretty strong support range. Okay. We ignore the Daniel Reluso area. We just look at the strong buyers, where the buyers are buying back. Okay. So $10.46 or whatever that, in that range, that's where they're looking to buy. Okay. So we looked pretty damn close to touching that. And you can see previously right here, it did the same thing. And then it climbed. You see what I'm saying? Yeah,
it's definitely in the zone where I think
it's in the zone.
Make a move.
Yeah, it's definitely in the zone. Now we do, we see anytime it gets below that is when we get concerned. And that's how I trade. Anytime it gets below where the buyers aren't buying anymore, I don't play with that asset.
Well, if you notice, when you look at the last 3 areas there, like it had a lower low, then it had a higher. It just gets climbing up as it's reaching its support each time it dips. So
yeah, exactly. So that's another awesome thing. And I'm also going to provide you guys a PDF that talks about pivot trading, but it explains the higher high and the lower low trick. And that's a really, really good thing to look at. So it's not just the bands that I look at. I look at a lot of different things going on in a trade. A lot of things that I don't even talk about here. You know, I mean, the HTF on it, the look at the stock cycling, the quote stuffing. There's a lot of things, but I try to keep everything very, very simple in the chat so I don't confuse anyone yet. But, you know, wait till you guys are here for a year, and then I'll start throwing some more names at you. You'll be like, what? So it's a whole learning curve, and we're taking it slow. Acor, that's another one I've been looking for. That rhymed. Again, you can definitely see where there's a strong buying area. Okay. So you definitely see where they like to buy it, and look, it's right on it. It's right on that buy line. So then let's throw the bands on there, and boom, we're pretty damn close to it. So we'd probably want to wait and look if they're going to buy back at this deviation about right here somewhere. And look, that's right off that buy-in support at the low part. When was it? Yeah, it's a couple times right there. So you can tell, you can see that's pretty, that's like the last resort for this one. It goes past that. It's never gone that low before, you know, well, it did when it first opened, but no, it didn't. That would be the first time. So this could be a really good one to get in. I've been watching this one, and look, guys, it's a therapeutics. Okay. Those are still hot. So if it breaks that last deviation that it's on right now, I would look for a bounce here. And then you can definitely see let me see where it looks on the other one. Yeah, see, boom, we got it. Boom, we just confirmed it. So I'm actually going to put an alert right there. That line, I'm gonna put a little higher though. I'm gonna put it right in the middle somewhere, so I kind of get an idea if it's like what it's doing. So put it like right there. We'll just add an alert. Boom, easy.
That's something I need to start doing, is drawing lines and putting alerts. I think that'll help a lot.
Yeah, and see if and this is when I use the buy and sell, right? You know, I kind of look at it and it says sell. It doesn't say buy yet. So maybe, right, which has happened before, can't lie, my alert came off like this, and I had a buy alert at the same time. I was like, what? So, it doesn't happen much, but it did that time.
Hey, one more real quick, if you don't care,
Sure.
just take a glance at IGT.
IGT. I've heard of this one.
It's something, it looks like it could bounce, but I'll see what you think. I don't know.
Yeah, so, you know, it's already in the greens. You see how you can quickly TA these things faster when you see that they're in the greens. Anytime they're in this range, is like, I don't know what to tell you, man. So again, I like using the 2-day because it gives like defined bounces, and there's a defined bounce right there. Now, does it say sell? Yes, it does. Does it say buy on the daily though? No. So you could put an alert on here and just say, okay, when this, because look, it's not, if it says it, you're gonna know it, right? You're gonna get an idea. So you just go to your indicator. I call it essential. You can call it whatever you want. I don't know if you can make, no, you can't. You guys can't call it. You have to deal with whatever it's called. So I'll put a buy alert here only once, right? I don't want it spamming. Hit create, boom. All right, so now I have a creation on this particular asset. So once the signaler says buy, what's up?
So you're setting the alert when the signal says buy, it will alert you?
Yeah.
How did you do that again? Let me just make sure that.
Yeah. This is the big one here, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely need that.
So you go to add alert, okay? And instead of where it says condition, okay, which usually you would use like different lines and stuff for this condition for crossing this line. We're actually making the condition based off what I wrote, okay?
So I just select your indicator DSAR.
Yep. And don't worry about this breakdown crap. Don't worry about that. Just worry about this right here, okay? Depending on which direction you're looking for, it's either going to sell or it's going to buy, okay? So if it's already in a sell, then you want to put a buy alert. Okay. And then you're just it will alert you and say,
Okay, yeah.
buy, right? So now you can go and take a look at it and be like, all right. So you might lose a little profit, maybe, but you're also lowering your risk. Okay. So that's what's important. And you see, when it says buy, usually it's making profit for you.
Right.
So definitely a really good thing to look at when you're doing your TAs at night.
Yeah, for sure. That'll help a lot.
Yeah. And you can already look on the other time frames to see if there's a buy, to give you an idea if it looks pretty positive, right? So on the 8 hour, it says buy, right? And then you just do the same thing. You just put your lines on where the deviations are and keep going through the different time frames. And remember, like this one right here on the 6 hour, okay, 6 hours like my bread and butter. If it's down here in this and this, listen, Kai, this is and Becky. Or did they leave? Who's here? Who's still here? It's hard to tell.
Me and Kai, I believe.
Yeah, it's acting weird. All right. So, anyways, if you get into a scenario, right? If you're looking on the 6 hour and you see an indicator, you see the price on these bands, okay? Just take a mental image of this, okay? And I think I've explained this to Banjo, but Kai, I don't think you know this trick. Take a mental image. All right, let me get rid of the buy and sell. I want you to really pay attention to this. Okay, got your image? Okay, so then we're going to go to a 30-minute time frame. Matter of fact, I'm going to put 2 lines right here, if that's okay. Just going to put a line. Well, I thought I did. Remember, Alt-H makes you do a straight line anywhere you want it. Just do Alt-H, boom, okay? All right, so we have our boundaries for these deviations. So what we do is usually it could be the hour or 30 minutes. Let's try the hour. Nope. Let me make sure I'm on the right multiple. Okay, so we don't confuse ourselves. Let's try 30-minute. Okay, that's pretty close. Let's try 20-minute. Let's just see if it's closer. No, I think we're getting farther away. So we can let's try 45-minute. It might be 40. Nope. All right. So we can argue and say that what we're looking at, if we remove the short bands now, the short bands on the higher time frames is this. That's what we're looking at. So then you know that if it's in these bands right here, then it's probably a good time to buy. Right? Oh, gonna buy on BTC. So does that make sense to you? So you can sort of set up your play of how you're going to do this trade or not by just looking at that 6 hour band. And even confirms it again on the daily, on the bigger bands. Looks like a good place to buy. So just a cool little tip. You can look at the higher time frames, the small bands, and see the big time frame. Yeah, with the larger bands on the smaller time frame. Okay, did I put that in my notes? No. So anytime you see something like that happening, like for instance, if we put, let's just go, for instance, 1 hour. Okay, let's make it simple. And let's just do the boundaries on the bigger bands. And let's see if that adds up on one of the short bands, these lines. Nope. Some of them will, some of them won't. All the tickers they're not as the same. Nope, that's not really showing it. Nope. All right, so that was a bad example. If there was a 9-hour, maybe it would show it on a 9-hour time frame. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like those Russian toys that get smaller and smaller every time you lift one. It's smaller and smaller. It's the same process of thinking with these bands. Yeah. So you just keep looking. You look at it and you see 3 different scenarios going on. I know, it's crazy. It's mind blowing. You see the big scenario right here. You see the small scenario, and then you see the smaller scenario on another time frame. So what that helps is with the direction, the trend. Looks like a piece of bubble gum right here with the wrappers. But yeah, it's a cool little trick you can do. And sometimes I don't even put lines, right? I'll just put where the 2190 and 15. So 2190 and 15. Let's check these bands. No, 6 minutes. See 21 yet. 2148. It's pretty close. We want closer if we can get it. 2190. Come on. Nope. Maybe 10-minute. There we go. That's pretty close. 2190. Boom. There it is. So there's the top of that shorter band on the higher time frame. Whichever one we were just looking at. There we go. Yeah, so that's a really good trick you can do. So now you're looking at a 10-minute. The small bands on the 2-hour is the 10-minute big bands. So it just gives you an idea of where that overbought section is, right? And it's up here.
Wouldn't it make sense to sit and go through these and actually write that down and have like a chart where we would all have access?
Well, I think the problem is each asset is different. So so they don't always display the way that you would think, right? If that was the case, I would put a document and say, okay, so the 6-hour bands is the 1 hour, right? But it doesn't always match up. So I just want people to kind of do their own research with the bands and figure it out.
Oh, okay.
Because it's your trade, right? Like it's going to be the money that you're investing. So make sure that your TA that you're doing is accurate to your thought process. So, but I just notice that when you add these up, with the smaller bands to the bigger bands, it works. So, and you can go the reverse way. You can go on the 5-minute, and look at these, and then they're probably a shorter band on the higher time frame. So you can do it in reverse. Okay. Like this right here, 18 and 16 should be what? The 1 minute? 18 and 16. There it is. So you can constantly get an idea what your price is doing, where the price action's going. So you see, and it's kind of dipping now. Okay, so it might connect right here and then start going back up again. So it's just good to see these different trends. Keeps you in a trade longer, or it gets you out of a trade. Like you might have sold right here because you're like, nope. Oh, it's going to bounce right here, dude. No, I don't think so. It's going to fall and it's going to go right here somewhere. So I'm not going to lose that money. Cool little trick. But once you start looking at it long enough, you can see it. You can see that 5-minute short band is that 1 minute. You can see it. All right. Well, guys, this was a good webinar today. I have a parent-teacher conference I have to go to tomorrow. So for the next webinar, if you registered, you should get an alert. And it's going to be 4 p.m. my time, which is Mountain. Okay? I think Kai lives in California, so that's 3 for him. If you miss it, it will be recorded. I will check this recording tonight and make sure it did what it was supposed to this time. And then I'll try to upload that to either the Zoom website or I'll upload it to YouTube. So anyways, this was a pretty good test. I think we have a good system now. And you guys can share your screens if you want to. So you can be like, hey, I got this problem, blah, blah, blah. And you can share your screen. So, all right, man. Take care.